I said, I thought first half, nightmare start. To be fair, it was a good goal. Spurs got good header. Reaction was great. Got in front. We were the better side in that first half. Spurs had all the ball second half, but I never really felt that they caused us too many problems. They played in front of us a lot. They brought their big hitters on and got into the game a bit more, but I never really felt under a great deal of threat, to be quite honest. They didn't get enough bodies in the box, Spurs. They just played in front of us. We seen the ball all the time. And it was, on the evidence of the first half, it was a deserved win. Even though Spurs had an awful lot more of the ball in the second half. As I say, I didn't think they really caused us an awful lot of problems.
0800 234 6565 is the number. So lots of controversy, particularly around Newcastle's equaliser. The ball hit Joe Linton's hand in the build-up. That was clear to see. Eddie Howe and Ange Postecoglou shared their views about that incident afterwards.
I don't know what the rules are in a sense that what should be given and what shouldn't. There's no doubt it hit Joe Linton's arm, but his arm is down by his side, so someone else will explain the reasoning behind it.
It wasn't outside the natural silhouette, is the explanation from the PGMOL.
That's good enough for me then.
Their first goal, Newcastle's, what was your take on that? Because I don't think there was much happiness on the bench about the manner of it.
As I said, if all things were equal, we would have won today.
Can you expand on that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, just if all things were equal and balanced, we would have won today.
But what does that mean? Because it's a bit ambiguous.
It just means that things weren't equal and weren't balanced, that's all.
In terms of who you had available, is that what you mean?
If all things were well balanced and equal, and we would have won the game today.
Can I just check? Do you mean that officiating areas?
You can check. You can talk about whatever you want. You don't want to have an opinion. You want my opinion. My opinion is that if all things were even and balanced today, we would have won that game.
Okay, but Tetchy Ange, which he was in all of these post-match interviews, and yes, I'm not sure what people think about that. It doesn't come across particularly well, I don't think.
He obviously wasn't happy.
No, he's a bad loser, isn't he? Good winner, bad loser. I guess most managers are, but particularly,
I don't see anything wrong with being a bad loser.
His character, I don't know. He shouldn't be having a go at people interviewing, asking him reasonable questions.
He answered the question. He thinks he answered the question.
Well, not really.
But he kept asking the same question over and over again.
I agree with you, Bridie. I think it's petulant. It's like a naughty schoolboy.
Yeah. You just give an answer. Just say, you were disappointed with something. If he doesn't want to criticise the referee, he doesn't have to, but he can just, he can basically say he was disappointed with some decisions and he's not going to get fined for that. I don't know. I mean, Razor, you were there getting ready to interview Eddie Howe when Postecoglou was there. So you were around that area when he was doing his interviews. What was his demeanour like?
Well, I was at the back of the radio interview room when he walked in, staring at the floor, hands in pockets, looked like he didn't really want to do the post-match interviews. A lot of managers are like that, and they have to do several of them as well for different broadcasters and different media, different types of media. He had his line prepared that he wanted to use about everything being even and equal.
He used that in every
interview,
you're right,
didn't he? He used that consistently, but that... whether it was, we heard there the match of the day interview and the commentator at the game for TV, Mark Scott, who was putting the questions to Postecoglou there, a bit like in the radio section, he was just asked to give more detail, to expand on what he meant, just to be clear, because look, you can accept why he'd be disappointed with a few decisions, but Tottenham fans and everybody else who's interested want to have a bit more detail and want to know more, and I just don't know what he gained by approaching it in that way, but I've never seen anything like it. It was incredible. And when he left the radio interview room, he shouted on his way out as he opened the door quite angrily in the direction of the radio interviewer from National Radio and accused them of sitting on the fence when they didn't give an opinion.
That was the talk sport, wasn't it? Sam Matterface. I heard that one.
But Sam didn't give his opinion. He just asked the manager for his view. That's the whole point of an interview. There will not be anybody out there who wants to know what an interviewer thinks.
Nobody wants to hear, whoever's doing the interview, nobody wants to hear their opinion. They want to hear the manager's opinion.
You only get 3 minutes or so.
All he had to say was, I wasn't happy with some of the decisions that went. But look, he's a manager that at this moment in time is under pressure. Is it 6 or 7 games without a win now? Yeah. He's got no defenders. He had to leave his big hitters on the bench because of a bull.
So there are mitigating circumstances. He's got reason to be aggrieved, perhaps.
But
maybe just have a look at the way that your demeanour is and the way that you treat people that are interviewing you, basically. But, did he have a point? I mean, should the goal have been disallowed, Ando?
A little bit like Eddie Howe. Don't know. The rules seem to change from week to week. I don't know the rules. I mean, if the goal, Seth and Razor had this conversation. If that goal had been given against us, I wouldn't have been happy. You wouldn't be happy. I mean,
his arm is in the natural silhouette, Ando. Come on.
But a handball's a handball.
It isn't, though, is it?
No, it's not. That is the problem. You know, that is.
If it was in the box, it would have been a handball.
Would it have been a penalty?
No, if it was his natural silhouette. And
All
it
this
seemed
and
to be.
Well, his arm wasn't actually by his side. His arm was out here. So
So you
that's not a
contrast that
natural
one in
silhouette.
the Liverpool Man United game when that was given as a penalty because his arm was out.
Yeah. Oh well, his arm's way up here,
so
isn't
that's,
it?
yeah.
You know, that's
that's
not in a
there's
natural.
difference. There's the difference.
I'm not disputing that his hand's not. I'm just saying, if it had been given against us, I wouldn't have been happy.
Okay.
Letter of the law, isn't it now?
Yeah.
And then because it was deemed to be in what VAR said was a natural position, and he wasn't the goal scorer. There was the block from Joe Linton, then a pass from
But if
Bruno
he hadn't
and
handled
Gordon.
it wouldn't have went to Bruno.
Yeah, Newcastle wouldn't have got the ball.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have got the ball back. Yeah, there was a VAR check in the second half when I think this was when Martin Dubravka got taken out by Solanke, who made a legitimate attempt for the ball. Jacob Murphy had sliced a clearance or hit a clearance at Tino Livramento, hit him on the arm, but his arm was in by his body, and it was from a teammate onto another one.
Well, that wasn't handball.
Well,
No, and then there was the Gordon one as well, which Eddie Howe has a view on. We'll hear soon.
Yeah, all right. Well, okay, we'll come to that in a moment. Dan Burn had been booked when he handled the ball. Should he have been sent off?